Hey guys, this is John, and I am playing Walter in the 15-minute pool on ICC. He's 2283. We're around the same rating. Mr. Walter. And this guy, oh yeah, this guy looks like a good player. His ratings are pretty good. He's 2350, 5-minute. Most all ratings healthily, if that's a word, above 2200 at least. So he looks like a very fast player, too. He has a lot of bullet games. So this should be interesting. He's going to play the Queen's Gambit accepted, so I'll play knight f3. I like this move to rule out e5. If you play e3 on move 3, there's some question about whether they can play e5. So this is all theory. a6, and now bishop b3 is one of the mainline moves. So is knight c3. I'll go bishop b3. The Queen's Gambit accepted is one of these openings that I think has an undeservedly bad reputation. I don't know if this reputation is bad. It's just like not very popular, I guess, would be the way of describing it. Do I play queen e2 here? I think the move is queen e2. So if he takes, I can play rook d1. But yeah, it has an undeservedly unpopular opinion. Like, if you think of top players who play the Queen's Gambit accepted, you really can't think of too many. I know Sergei Karyakin was playing it from time to time. I don't think he does so much anymore. But it's not a very popular recommendation as far as like a opening to put in your repertoire. There's not that many books written about it, I don't think. It's kind of strange. It's kind of like an opening that's been neglected a little bit in mainstream chess. But it's a perfectly sound opening, so that's kind of weird. Queen c7. So if I take on c5 right now, he gets to take back in one go. So I think I'm just going to play knight c3 first. And see if he'll commit his bishop first before I can decide whether to take on c5 or not. And he does commit the bishop. I can also try to maintain some flexibility and not take on c5. But taking on c5 would be the typical thing to do here. Take, bishop takes, and then e4. Sometimes they can go knight g4, though. It's kind of a weird move, but might actually be pretty good. If I don't play d takes c5, rook d1 is another standard-looking move. But taking on c5 just, it really appeals to me. There's tricks, though. Like, if I take c5, he takes with the bishop, and I play e4, he goes knight g4. If I were to play h3, then he has this nice move, knight d4, that just wins for him. It's a very well-known trick. So I'm going to play rook d1 first. And I bet he castles. And at that point, I'll figure out if I want to take on c5. Now, however, I have some trouble. If bishop takes e4, he can still play knight g4, and he's attacking f2. So it's like I can't escape this idea. Maybe h3. Maybe take, and then h3. That could work. I don't think I'm working with much of an advantage, though. I'll do it. This move helps me in a lot of lines because h2 is not hanging. Knight g4 is prevented. Plays rook d8. Okay. It's almost like the time is coming to take on d4 if I'm going to play that move. Yeah, let's do it. And then maybe I'll take on d8.
Check.
And probably push the pawn to e4. Yeah. And my goal is to liberate my bishop so that my rook can come to d1. Okay, another quick move by him. Let's just take. Probably he'll take with his bishop, huh? Bishop e3, he can maybe take on c3 and win this pawn. I think bishop g5 would be the move here. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe I'll go rook d1 next. can play queen a5. If queen a5, I might go back to d2. We could also maybe play rook d1 anyways. Yeah, queen a5, rook d1. Is that possible? It is, I think. So even though my bishop's hanging here, rook d1, he'll have some trouble on the back rank, is my thinking. Yeah, he can't win anything right away if I do this. And it gets my last piece in the game, so I like it. Seems like a decent idea. E5 would not be a good move for him because I could take on f6 and then his kingside will be really weak. I could jump my knight into d5, for instance. Maybe he should play like bishop e5, retreating his bishop, and his queen is still guarding the d8 square. That seems to be a plan. However, I can play f4 and I'll probably gain some initiative out of this. Don't know that he was expecting rook d1. Well, I'm happy. I mean, out of the opening, I've got all my pieces coordinated. He still has to get his light square bishop out. And even when he puts it on d7, it'll be exposed to tactics if my rook is still on the d file. In fact, he probably would rather play b5 and bishop b7. That's often what black does in this line. But that opportunity might have passed him by. So I'm very curious to see what he'll do in this position. He's having a little think. This is the first time he's thought for an extended period of time in this game. He's otherwise been playing very quickly. Just looking at queen e5 again, because he could try that move. Oh, but queen e5 I can play bishop e3. That just wins instantly, doesn't it? Yeah, queen e5, bishop e3, and he's got the back rank issue. Maybe he should do something like h6 in this position. Attack the bishop and give himself an escape square. I would assume after h6, rook takes d4, though, he's going to be at least slightly worse. Yeah, h takes g5, and then it'll be hard for him to complete his development. This bishop d7 is never quite safe when I have e5 available. Well, it's nice to set your opponent a problem in the opening like this. Caused him to slow down and start burning clock time. He might want to move the bishop too. Like bishop c5 is another move he can consider. That gives him the option of putting the bishop back on f8. However, I mean, there's always the prospect of me taking on f6 and doubling his pawns, or playing e5 if I so choose. He needs to do something that will make him uncomfortable here. He just doesn't have a lot of options that are... he doesn't have a lot of, like, comfortable options, let's say. Nice, tidy moves that will keep his position completely safe. I'm just going to check to make sure he's not lagging or something. I don't think he is, but... yeah, he's not lagging. Nor am I. I'd say h6 or bishop c5 are his best bets here. I don't think he'll take on c3. I don't think he'll play e5. Queen e5 loses to bishop e3, as I was mentioning. That doesn't leave a whole lot of other moves. He might play e5. I could see him maybe risking it and doing that, hoping that his bishop on d4 anchored will make up for the fact that he has a really weak king. Although I noticed that after e5, if I take on f6, I can also swing my rook up to d3 and have it come to g3. Yeah, actually, he probably won't play e5. That would be asking for trouble. Yeah, I'm going to say h6 or, what was the other move I said? Bishop c5. I'm going to say one of those two moves he should play. He takes on g5. Okay. Well, this is what's going to happen. Maybe he'll go bishop d7 now? Nope, knight d7. Okay, so his knight is headed for f8, I think. It would make sense for me to play a rook, a queen move to line up with my rook at this point. So like queen d1, which also guards c1, so that's kind of nice. Queen d1, he can play queen e7, though. He might unwind. What about queen c4? More active, a little riskier, but might be a better move. Nah, queen c4 he can... well, I don't know. Might be okay. Queen c4, knight e5 he has, though. Looking at some weird lines. Queen c4, knight e5, and then maybe like f4. Trying to deflect his queen from guarding d8. Because I think if I play some move to attack his knight again right now, he's just going to play queen e7. And he stands a chance of consolidating and escaping this mess. Queen d1, queen e7, knight a4. How about that? Sort of a weird idea, but might be good. Queen c4 just strikes me as like a somewhat artificial move. I don't know how great it is. I'm going to play queen d1. I want to stay ahead on the clock, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I like the look of knight a4. I really do. But maybe he just plays like h6 or g6 against that. Something like that. e5. E5 doesn't help us too much. Rook to d6. Knight a4 threatens knight b6. Let's go knight a4. Again, I want to stay ahead on the clock. So I think he has to play, or he should play g6 or h6 at this point. So that if I were to play knight b6, he could just take it. And then I'm thinking, like, put my rook into d6 and give myself the option of knight b6 later with tempo. Or not with tempo, but when the knight is protected by my rook on d6. I'm slightly concerned that I'd be letting him wriggle out, though. Even choosing between h6 and g6 is not easy for him. They both have their pluses and minuses. g6 puts another pawn on a light square, kind of weakens his dark squares. Yeah, and he preferred h6. So rook d6 would be the move, the normal move here. Yeah, let's do that. And I expect him to play b5. And if b5, I might just go back with my knight. I might come into b6, but retreating with the knight seems better. Maybe bishop c2 would have been a more testing move. Let's go back, yeah. I'm a little skeptical of my whole knight a4 operation. I think I'm still somewhat better, but it's not as good as it could have been, I think. Knight back to f8. Try to undermine his pawn structure. b4. He knows that I'm trying to pressure him on the clock, I think. I think he understands that. Not sure I want my knight on g3. Maybe queen d4 now. Well, queen d4, he can... Can he take on e4? No, he can't. I don't think so, at least. Because I take with my queen and I'm hitting his rook on a8. So that's no good. So yeah, let's do this. He'll probably play a5. Just to keep his b-pawn protected. Then I might have to play knight g3, or maybe bishop c2, but probably knight g3. Oh, bishop d5. I didn't see that move, if I'm completely honest. Yeah, I didn't see that move at all. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, that was just a big oversight on my part. I think I see a way I can get some interesting compensation, though. If I take, he takes with the queen. I take on e6. He takes my queen. I take f7. That's what I'm thinking. So, yeah, let's do that. I just have to play like pretty quickly now. It's going to be like a blitz scenario, so... He probably should trade queens. Yeah.
Check.
Now, he wants to round up my f-pawn. That much is clear. Question is how to do it. And I'm going to go attack his queenside pawns in the meantime. Knight c6 is annoying for him. So is bishop c4. Maybe bishop c4 first. Just so I can play b3 and consolidate everything. Yeah, b3 if needed. And then he has no hope of going and attacking my b-pawn. This guy is a very quick player, so I'm not going to be banking on like winning on time or something. I want to win this on the board. If I can. b3 now. a5 to fix the pawn here. That might be a little fancy. Let's just go here. Play it safe. If he plays knight d7, I can check. So that's nice. Maybe try to bring our king up now. Go f4, giving a route for my king to get to the center. Yeah, he's doing that in preparation for playing knight d7, I believe. He could try to send his knight over to b6. Let's just go here. It's a complex ending. If my king gets involved, it's going to be very tough for him. His rook has to stay fairly close to the a-pawn. This position just primarily depends on whether he's going to be able to activate this knight. Like, he has to try to do something active with that knight. If he can't, he's going to be in for some pain. Okay, so now I can play knight e6 if I want. However, knight e6, could he possibly play knight b6 then? I queen, take, he takes c4. Huh, it's a funny position. I'm going to make him calculate that, because I don't really have the time to figure it out. Nor does he, but... Knight b6 is his threat here. But I could just play bishop e6 then, right? If he does that. I can play g4, maybe just bring up this pawn. Knight e6. Ooh, tough call. Very tough call. I'm going to play g4. He played g5 instantly. Let's bring the king up. So if knight e5, I can play knight e6 now. Yeah, but he can take on f7 with his knight. Bishop d5? Bishop d5 works, doesn't it? Just not sure now. Let's go bishop d5. Yeah, but if you play that, I can go here. Rook d8 was a blunder. Not a good move by him.
Check.
I don't think, at least. Now he has to be careful. I still can't queen my pawn. But I'm making progress now. Let's go here. Maybe some knight c6 move will be helpful. This is a real nasty position for him. Time is becoming important. Bishop e6. He's just threatening to take my pawn again. How did I not see that he's threatening that? Annoying. Alright, let's do this. He can take my pawn on f7, but that's a risk I have to take. I'm going to take and then play king d5 is the plan. And go after his queenside pawns real aggressively. And make him find a defense. That was probably not a good move by me. He can play rook g8 now. He did not see it. Let's go king here. Play rook g7, but I can liquidate all the pawns. And I stand a good chance of just being able to eliminate everything. Which one do I want to do? Yeah, king b6. If I take, he takes here. I go knight c6, he takes there, a5. Yeah, that pawn could be a runaway train. So let's just try to eliminate these pawns. Wow, really? I'm surprised by that. I'm pretty shocked by that decision, actually. I don't believe this. Yeah, this is losing for him. King takes h4, a7, rook g8, knight b8, over. He can't stop me from promoting. So yeah, he's got to do something like this, but then my pawn is going to queen, the g pawn that is. Yeah, it's over. Okay. Well, I think I should be able to win this position. I think I can handle it.
Check.
As long as I don't make a huge blunder. Queen g4 mate is a threat now. That he can't do a whole lot about, besides sacrificing his rook.
Check.
Oh, I can do this and then go
check.
Win his rook, or just checkmate. Yeah, this is going to be checkmate. King e7, queen f7, and queen d7 mate. Very interesting game. Let's have a look. So Queen's Gambit accepted, and I'm not too familiar with the queen c7 move here. Usually they play b5, either here or after knight c6. So I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, I played h3 because I didn't want to be able to have to worry about the knight g4 move. So that knight g4 move I was talking about. So let's say in this position I had played d takes c5 and then bishop takes c5. and now e4, trying to get this bishop out and maybe threaten e5. He has this move, which is highly irritating. And it's a common trap. This can happen in some Sicilians too. If after h3, normal move, white gets hit by this move. And if I take, I just get checkmated.
Checkmate.
So that's the whole point of this. So I was hesitant to take on c5 too early until I had g4 under control. So that's why I played h3 and then took on c5 next.
Check.
Then swapped on d8. And I think I'm getting some advantage now. The position I'm interested in seeing, and I know I'm going through the analysis a little faster. I don't have a ton of time right now. But the position I'm interested in seeing is right here, right around here, what he should do. Because this is where he spent a lot of time. He had 12:58, so like 13 minutes, and then he had 6 minutes. So he spent about 7 minutes on this position. Looks like he found the best move, queen takes g5. And I played rook takes d4. Knight d7. Yeah, I was wondering about queen c4. The goal of queen c4 would be to try to get into the c7 square and really tie him down. I just wasn't quite sure about that move. I don't know what freaked me out, like the possibility of queen c1 maybe. But after queen c1, I can always block with the rook. So, I mean, this shouldn't be good for him. Even if I just play something like that. He's almost frozen in this position. Plenty of compensation. So, that looks like it didn't work for him. But yeah, I probably should have played queen c4. I went queen d1. This move just seems a little lamer. Knight a4, yeah. If I regret one thing about this game, the way I played this middle game, is the knight a4 to back to c3 maneuver. I don't think that was so great. I mean, I still have an edge according to the engine, but... Oh, and also I regret the fact that I completely missed bishop d5 coming up. Here I should play queen d4. Okay. Yeah, queen d4, and if he develops... a3 and just kind of maintain my central advantage and my control over the d file. Well, fair enough. Yeah, now queen d4. Totally missed that move. Oh. Oh, that's embarrassing. I didn't see that after this and then pawn take or queen takes that I can just take his rook on a8 and I'm winning. Hello, my queen is actually defended. Oh, man. So if I played bishop takes d5, he actually would have just had to play pawn takes. And, okay, clearly I would have gone for this line if I had seen that. It might have been one of these things where, like, when he played bishop g5, I kind of just took him at his word that it was winning my rook. So I took with a pawn, which is still pretty good, but... Yeah, bishop takes d5 is just much, much better. So bishop d5 is an unsound move. I just didn't connect the dots that my queen would actually be defended. Okay, that's embarrassing. But at least this way led to a really interesting endgame with equal material. I did feel like I was pressing for the win here. Maybe I should have played a5 and really tried to fix that pawn on this square. I don't know. Computer seems to like the way I played it for the most part. But somewhere I let my advantage slip. King f3. Okay, that was no good. Bishop b5 is better. This is a complicated endgame. Bishop e6, knight c5, now bishop d5, rook h8, knight c6, I guess going after this pawn. Because I kind of have to combine play on both wings. Like, I want to play on the king side where I have this awesome passed pawn, but... I have to reckon with the fact that this pawn might drop off at some point, and I want to go and be able to win his queenside pawns. And I'm pretty sure there was quite a few mutual mistakes coming up here. Bishop d5, he played that move, which just let me play knight e6 with tempo.
Check.
However, he was able to do this. Okay, now knight c5 would have been good. Yeah, I saw knight c5. I rejected it because I thought he could play king e7. But I guess this and go after this pawn is promising. And if here, knight d6, discovered attack, and maybe I can play knight f5 check, or knight c4. Very interesting. I got kind of fancy with knight d4, and that allowed his knight to come back. Bishop here takes. So I was banking on my active king and knight, which is hard to deal with in his time situation. Knight c6. I do not think I should have played h4 right here, because he could have played the immediate rook g8. He seemed bent on keeping one of his pawns, though. I mean, maybe he just overestimated the counterplay he would get from that, because he doesn't get any counterplay. But, yeah, clearly he should have, after h4, done something else. Although, rook g8,
Check.
g5, yeah, take,
Check.
take, rook
Check.
takes. It's probably, like, still drawish. Because I'll, like, work my king around and win his a5 pawn, and knights work very well in close quarters like this, so I think I should probably be able to draw that position. But as played, when he, like, kind of stalls for a couple minutes, or moves, then it starts to look better. This was, in my opinion, this is a really risky move. I don't think I would have done that. I'm pretty sure I would have just traded and then taken and tried to defend this position, like, I don't know, king d7 or something now. So, I don't know. The computer seems to think it's okay, though. King g4. Yeah, king g4, a5, king takes, g6. Well, okay. I probably would have played this. Oh, but okay. Then his pawn becomes dangerous. What did he do, though? He wasted a tempo. He played rook g6, was it? Yeah, I don't know what rook g6 was about. That was just a pure waste of a valuable tempo. So after king g4, I would have had to be careful. a5, king takes, g6, king g5, now a6, h4, a7, whoops, take, take. Now he has to take here. I take h3, knight d3, king f5, okay, b4, h2, knight f2, king f4, b5, king f3, okay. And it's just a case where he's going to queen, or yeah, it'll be like mutual queening with a draw. Rook g6 was just baffling. I don't know what he was thinking with that move. That's the game right there. I mean, rook g6, and now I get a valuable tempo to play a5. He's one tempo short, because he can't play king takes h4 here. If he does, a7, rook here, and now this nice knight b8 move is just winning, blocking him. So, at least I think that wins. Yeah, check here, take,
Check.
take, yeah,
Check.
check, and I can just hide. Ooh, but I gotta be careful where to hide. Here allows this one. And then if here, more checks. So I want to hide on c3, and then march towards his rook.
Check.
Rook here, king d4, check again. Here, yeah, and it's nice that I always control the a4 square.
Check.
And finally king f2. So, yeah, and as played, it's just over. Well, very interesting game. And I'll just show you guys his stats. Yeah, good player. 2373 was his peak in this time control, and good ratings all around. Am I active yet in the 15-minute category? I might still need to play some games. Yeah, I'm still not showing up on the active list. Tony, another shout out to Tony. Tony is #1 in the 15-minute pool. Mr. Tony Rotella, author of The Killer Sicilian, which is a great book, by the way. I highly recommend all of you get it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this game, and please feel free to leave me any feedback in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys.